These are three of Blight's strongest add-ons, and all three might be bugged. Blighted Rat and Blighted Crow increase his speed with each consecutive rush, while Alchemist Ring increases his rush duration. The obvious assumption is that these bonuses begin on his second rush. After all, you can't have a consecutive rush until you've already performed one, but that isn't what happens. All three add-ons grant their first stack immediately. Double Speed makes Blight 5% faster on his very first rush and up to 25% faster on his fifth. Alchemist Ring immediately adds 20% duration, and then it can eventually double it. Here's the testing. Okay, so you can clearly see these add-ons do in fact work on first rush. But you might be thinking to yourself, it's obviously intended and not a bug. Even if it were a bug, why is it an issue? And you would be right to think that. But I am very confident that this is not intended. Regardless, this video proves one of two things. One, either the add-ons are in fact bugged, or two, behavior is incredibly incompetent. Now, neither of those are a stretch. In fact, the second option has been proven many times over, but I'm not making this video because I want these add-ons changed or fixed. I'm making it because it makes two other Blight add-ons completely worthless. If you remember a couple years ago, Blight's add-ons got changed. Some got nerfed, some got reworked, some got both. The two add-ons I'm talking about are Soul Chemical and Summoning Stone. Soul Chemical increases your initial rush speed by 5%, and Summoning Stone increases your initial rush duration by 0.5 seconds. You're probably seeing the problem I'm getting at with it. This is how I know either it's a bug or behavior has absolutely no idea what they're doing. Soul Chemical does suck, but it's not as bad. It is 5% on the first rush for one add-on, where you would need double speed to match that. But then the add-on after the first rush does absolutely nothing, and it's a purple add-on. But Summoning Stone, on the other hand, this one is the real kicker. It gives 0.5 seconds on first rush. Alch Ring does 20% on first rush. 20% of 3 seconds is 0.6 seconds. So these add-ons are the same rarity, but Alch Ring not only gives you a higher rush duration on your first rush, which is the entire effect of Summoning Stone, but it then stacks over the course of your next consecutive rushes, whereas Summoning Stone does absolutely nothing after your first rush. This has been aggravating me for quite a long time. I've known about this for roughly 2 years now. In fact, I remember back in 2024, I was in Lilith Omen's chat trying to explain this to him, and he wasn't really buying it. Granted, the testing that I did, it wasn't completely detailed, but I've known about this for a while, and I'm inclined to think it's been this way since Blight's release, or whenever the add-ons were created. I don't know if these add-ons were changed at any points early on. Regardless, I've known about this for a while, and I would really like for Soul Chemical and Summoning Stone to be changed. How they were before wasn't overly useful. They had unique effects, but nobody really used them anyways. But I can give some suggestions for changes that I might like to see just as a person that plays a lot of the character. For Soul Chemical, I think you can make it 10 or 15% on initial rush, and then it would actually have a use case. You could pair it with Light Tag, so you have an immediate boost of speed at 20 or 25%, and then it kind of goes down after that. Or what you could do is kind of make it a reverse of his speed add-ons. So you could start out with say 15% speed and then lose 2% for each rush after that. 15% because Adrenaline Vial exists and 7 rushes would be 14% loss. Technically, you could just make it like 10% and then it wouldn't actually matter. You would just have no boost of speed after those 5 rushes if you're using Adrenaline Vial, but nobody uses that add-on anyways, so it's not too big a deal. For Summoning Stone, I do have an idea, and honestly, I've wanted to see an add-on like this for quite a while, and I think it would be really cool. Essentially, it would have um, 7 effects because of Adrenaline Vial, but really only 5 effects would be important. Essentially, what it would be is you get a specific bonus depending on what rush you're currently on. I have a couple ideas written here, not saying this is exactly how it should be done. This is just some ideas to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So for your initial rush, it would say give you an extra second of rush duration. On your second rush, it would give you 10% speed. On your third rush, they increase your look angle by 20 degrees. On your fourth rush, increase your turn rate by 20%. And then on your fifth rush, you could recover from a successful hit 20% faster. Important to note that with an add-on like this, you wouldn't maintain the bonuses as you rush. So after your first rush, you would go back to a normal 3-second rush duration. After your second rush, you would no longer have 10% speed. You only get the bonuses depending on what rush is associated with them. Regardless of how they'd be changed, I just wanted to bring any amount of attention to this in hopes that it would have an effect. I do really appreciate you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.